Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. We're going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12, Text 8, Maitreya Vachan.
Maitreya Uvacha
Saraja Rajena Varaya Chodito
Saraj Rajena Varaya Choditaha
Dhruvo Mahabhagavato Mahamatihi
Dhruvo Mahabhagavato Mahamatihi
Harao Savavre Chalitam Smritim Yaya
Haro Sivrapte Achalitam Smritim Yaya
Tarate Ayatnena Duratyayam Tamaha.
Tarati Aratnena Duratyayam Tamaha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidur, when thus asked to accept a benediction from Kuvera, the Yakshraj, king of the Yakshas, Dhruva Maharaj, that most elevated pure devotee, who was an intelligent and thoughtful king, begged that he might have unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For thus a person can cross over the ocean of nations very easily, although it is very difficult for others to cross. So who is the king of the Yakshas?
Kuvera.
Yeah. Now Kuvera, and what is his position? What's his position in the demigod?
He's the Lord of the Treasure.
Yeah. So means he can give any amount of material treasure that we want, right? Because he's in the treasury department, And now he himself is asking Dhruv Maharaj, you ask me whatever you want. And what is Dhruv Maharaj asking for?
He just wants to serve he just want to have faith and remembrance of Krishna
Yeah.
for always.
So see, he could have asked for any material benediction from Kuver, because Kuver can give him any amount of wealth. But what is the wealth he's asking for? Unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Lord. So because Dhruv Maharaj, he's intelligent. He's intelligent and he's thoughtful and he understands no amount of material wealth can help him get out of this material world. But faith and constant remembrance of God can give him what? Can allow him to
Cross over the ocean of neuroscience very easily. And it is difficult
yeah.
to cross.
Yeah. So no matter how much amount of riches we have, we won't be able to cross over this material world. We'll still continue in this birth and death. But because Dhruv Maharaj is intelligent and he's thoughtful, he's asking for this benediction that he may have faith in the Supreme Lord and constant remembrance of the Lord. What is the main principle of, around which all the other religious principles are based? What does Rupa Goswami say? What's the main thing?
Hearing and chanting, is it?
Yeah. And for what? What does hearing and chanting should bring us to the position of always?
To devotional service, to serve Krishna.
That's right. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So this is what Dhruv Maharaj is asking for, that he can always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. He could have asked for anything, imagine what would we ask for if Kover was asking us, my dear so-and-so, I'll give you whatever benediction you want. Give me more wealth.
Yeah, all the yeah, so greedy.
Yeah.
Like Dhruva Maharaj reached on that position, like he can differentiate what is the real life meaning of the life, like go to remembrance of Supreme Lord and just back to Godhead. So he was intelligent that, and he was spiritually on that level, so he can understand what exactly the wealth of human being. So, right?
Yeah. Thank you. So according to the opinion of expert followers of Vedic rites, there are different types of benedictions in terms of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. These four principles are known as Chaturvargas. So the Vedas, they mainly deal with this, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. You do this to get to do dharmic activities, then you can get artha, get lot of opulence, so that you can enjoy kama, you can have sense gratification, and finally you'll understand that all this sense gratification is not giving pleasure. Then you will ask for moksha, liberation. So of all the Chaturvargas, the benediction of liberation is considered to be the highest in this material world. To be enabled to cross over material nations is known as the highest Purushartha or benediction for the human being. But Dhruva Maharaj wanted a benediction which surpasses even the highest Purushartha, liberation. He wanted the benediction that he might constantly remember the lotus feet of the Lord. This stage of life is called the Panchama Purushartha. So the four Purusharthas we are hearing is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But Dhruva Maharaj is asking something beyond this four. He's asking for constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord. That's called the fifth, the Pancha Artha, Pancha Purushartha. When a devotee comes to the platform of Panchama Purushartha, simply engaging in devotional service to the Lord, the fourth Purushartha, liberation, becomes very insignificant in his eyes. This again comes to the point where Krishna says that from the point of liberation begins pure devotional service. Krishna says in chapter 18, text 55, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. And then, Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. At the stage of liberation, what does the devotee do after he is liberated? He engages in pure devotional service. So for a devotee, liberation is the beginning of real life, is the beginning of reality. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has stated in this connection that for a devotee, liberation is a hellish condition of life. As for sense gratification, which is available in the heavenly planets, the devotees considers it to be a will-o'-the-wisp, having no value in life. So he could have asked to live in the heavenly planets, have a lot of wealth, a lot of opulence. But a devotee knows that this kind of opulence, this kind of wealth, it just lasts for a very short time. And very soon, it's like a Ferris wheel, which goes round and round. So sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. So even we may become as rich as Kuvera, probably one of the life we might have been Kuvera also. And then what happens is, again, we come down to the lower species of life. So a devotee does not give too much importance for that. Yogis endeavor to control the senses, but a devotee controlling the senses is no difficulty at all. The senses are compared to serpents, but for a devotee, the serpent's poison teeth are broken. So why is it easier for a devotee to control the senses? How does he control his senses, the devotee?
By engaging them in serving Krishna lovingly.
Yeah. So thus, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has analyzed all kinds of benedictions available in this world, and he has clearly declared that for a pure devotee, they are all of no significance. Dhruva Maharaj was also a Mahabhagavat, or a first-class pure devotee, and his intelligence was very great. Mahamatihi. Mahamatihi. Unless one is very intelligent, one cannot take to devotional service or Krishna consciousness. We do not understand what is our real self-interest. We really are not able to understand it, and that's the reason we continue having so many material desires. But a pure devotee is very intelligent. He understands what his self-interest is. What is his intelligence? That he's understood, hey, I'm not the body anyways. Why am I asking for benedictions which are related to the body? I am a spirit soul, so let me be engaged in my original position and serve the Supreme Lord. Naturally, anyone who is a first-class devotee must be a first-class intelligent person and therefore not interested in any kind of benediction within this material world. Now, so shall we beat ourselves up? Oh, I'm not a first-class devotee. Oh, I have so many material desires. Oh, I'm unintelligent. Well, if so, yes, we are unintelligent, but what to do? What Bhagavatam says, akama sarva kamo ma. Kama, moksha kama udariti. Whatever is our desire, we desire material, we have material desires, we have no material desires, we desire liberation. Just engage in devotional service of Krishna. So we may be unintelligent, but still just engage in devotional service of Krishna. And gradually, all the desires will get purified. So, for example, Dhruva Maharaj, he also began that way, right? He had such a great desire. He wanted a kingdom which is greater than Brahma's. And that's why he took up devotional service. And now he's become a pure devotee. So he's setting an example for us that, okay, even if you have material desire, no problem. You still just take up devotional service. Worship Krishna. Engage in devotional service. Dhruva Maharaj was offered a benediction by the King of Kings, Kuvera, the treasurer of demigods, whose only business is to supply immense riches to persons within this materialistic world, is described as the King of Kings, because unless one is blessed by Kuvera, one cannot become a king. The King of Kings personally offered Dhruva Maharaj any amount of riches, but he declined to accept them. Therefore, he is described here as Mahamatihi, very thoughtful or highly intellectual. So, Dhruva Maharaj is being called highly intelligent because he understands what is the true wealth, as we were just discussing, and that is devotional service. It reminds a pastime of Sanatan Goswami. Does anyone remember that pastime of Sanatan Goswami in this context? What is the true wealth? That there was a devotee of Lord Shiva. He was asking Lord Shiva, give me the highest treasure. Lord Shiva told him, okay, Sanatan Goswami is nearby, go ask him. Lord Shiva and Sanatan Goswami had a very good relationship. Lord Shiva used to come and hear Bhagavatam and where Sanatan Goswami used to do his bhajan. So Lord Shiva told this devotee, you go, ask Sanatan Goswami. So this man, he went to Sanatan Goswami. He said, Lord Shiva sent me, he asked me to ask you, give me the treasure. So Sanatan Goswami told him, okay, there is this Chintamani somewhere here. You just pick it up and you go. So the man searched for the Chintamani, happily found it and was going. Chintamani is a stone that whatever you touch it to, that thing will turn into gold. Imagine we have something. We have a stone, you touch anything to it, it becomes gold. You can become the wealthiest person. So it's very valuable. So this man was going along, going home. Then he realized if this is really the most important, most valuable, why was Sanatan Goswami just keeping it like that, almost as if it's rubbish? And if something's valuable, we'll guard it, put it in a safe, or security, all that. He goes back to Sanatana Goswami, says, no, I asked you for the highest treasure. Yeah, I think there's something higher than this. You give what is it? Sanatana Goswami says, okay, if you're ready to receive it, then you first go throw the stone in the river. You come. So the man did that. He actually went, he threw the Chintamani in the river. Now, how many of us would actually do that? You know, take the that we've got in the Chintamani and actually throwing it in the river. Well, the man anyway does it. And Sanatan Goswami, he comes back, and then Sanatan Goswami initiates him in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and told him that this is the highest treasure. Chanting the holy name. So devotional service. And the holy name is the highest treasure because it can give us love for Krishna. We are not able to understand it because we are just so thinking that I'm the body and whatever is good for the body is actually good. Not able to understand the highest pleasure is actually love of Krishna. Krishna Prema. Prema Pamartho Mahan. That's the goal of life, Lord Chaitanya says. So reading on, Tasya Pritena Manasa.
Hare Krishna. I
Yes,
think
Hare
all
Krishna.
the pure devotees, they are just aspiring for serving Krishna and for remembering him at his lotus feet, right? Because even King Kulukshetra in Mukundamala Stotra, in the fifth text, he also says that, oh my Lord, I have no attachment for religiosity or for accumulating wealth or for enjoying sense gratification. Let these come as they inevitably must in accordance with my past deeds. But I do pray for this most cherished boon, birth after birth, that let me render unflinching devotional service unto your two lotus feet. So this is so beautiful. I have just reached on the fifth, and until fifth, he's just asking to serve the lotus feet of Krishna and nothing else. And each of the verses is so beautiful because he's the pure devotee. He's one of the alvars in South India. So so pure. And though he's a king himself, but nothing more than serving the lotus feet of Krishna. He's not asking anything else.
Yeah.
So yes, pure devotees have that, like Dhruva Maharaj too.
Yeah, that's what Lord Chaitanya is also teaching us in the Shikshastakam. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam vajakadishya kameya janma janmani janma ishware bhavatad bhaktir ahaituki tvai. I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want a good birth, I don't want women. I just want to engage in your service, birth after birth.
Yes.
Yeah. So why is a devotee able to ask that? Because he's experiencing the highest bliss. As we have been reading in the Nectar of Devotion, that the pleasure of devotional service exceeds even the pleasure of having any amount of riches, going to the heavenly planets, exceeds even the pleasure of liberation, of realizing that I am the Brahman. So that pleasure is even higher, the pleasure of devotional service.
Wow.
Yeah, to please Krishna. That's all the devotee wants. He just wants to please Krishna. He has that relationship with Krishna, that love for Krishna. Because of that, he just wants to serve Krishna. And so it's a relationship, it's a reciprocation. Krishna is reciprocating with him, and he does not want anything else rather than this relationship with Krishna.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Tasya pritena manasa
Tasya pritena manasa
tam datvaita vidastataha
tad gatva edas tataha
pashyato antardhadesopi
Pashyato antardhadeso api
swapuram pratyapadyata.
Swapura
swapuram pratyata.
The son of Idavida, Lord Kovair, was very pleased, and happily he gave Dhruva Maharaj the benediction he wanted. Thereafter he disappeared from Dhruva's presence, and Dhruva Maharaj returned to his capital city. So Dhruva Kuber is able to give this kind of benediction, imagine. So Dhruva Maharaj is also he's showing what we can ask the demigods. We can ask the demigods to help us engage in devotional service. Kuber, who's known as the son of Idavida, was very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj because he did not ask him for anything materially enjoyable. So this is how he's even pleasing Kuber. When we are asking the demigods for give me this, give me that, they are not actually pleased with us, but they are pleased when they see that we want to engage in devotional service. Because they themselves are engaging in devotional service. They themselves are devotees. Kuber is one of the demigods, so one may put forward the argument, why did Dhruva Maharaj take a benediction from a demigod? The answer is that for a Vaishnava, there is no objection to taking a benediction from a demigod if it is favorable for advancing Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So a devotee, he takes benedictions from demigods, but for what reason? To better serve Krishna, to better be able to engage in devotional service. The gopis, for example, worship Caitaniya, a demigoddess. But the only benediction they wanted from the goddess was to have Krishna as their husband. That's what the gopis did, For 1 month, after the month of Kartik, there's this Katyayani Vrat. And then the gopis, for 1 month, they observe this fasting, very strict fasting. They barely eat any spices or anything. It's just, I think, green mung or something. And they are all the time worshipping the goddess. And for what? What are they taking up this kind of austerity for? What are they asking goddess Katyayani? They want Krishna as their husband. So a Vaishnava is not interested in asking any benediction from the demigods, nor is he interested in asking benedictions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said in the Bhagavatam that liberation can be offered by the Supreme Person. But even if a pure devotee is offered liberation by the Supreme Lord, he refuses to accept it. So Bhagavatam is saying that Krishna can give liberation, but a pure devotee is not asking liberation. What does a pure devotee want? He wants to be situated in this loving relationship with Krishna, personal relationship with Krishna. Because in the Brahman, the person Krishna is not there. So there's not this loving exchange is not there. But the pure devotee, he wants to have this loving relationship with Krishna. That's the reason he does not want liberation. He wants to be with Krishna. He wants to serve Krishna. Dhruva Maharaj did not ask Kuber for transference to the spiritual world, which is called liberation. He simply asked that wherever he would remain, whether in the spiritual or material world, he would always remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A Vaishnava is always respectful to everyone. So when Kuber offered him a benediction, he did not refuse it, but he wanted something which would be favorable to his advancement in Krishna consciousness. This is simply, that's what he wants, to be engaged in devotional service, to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So Dhruva Maharaj is setting a good example for us. Did anyone want to add anything? Then we'll stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.